welcome back to AddSpeed. My name's Austin, and today we're working on my 1996 Dodge Dakota. Now, I had a couple issues with it over the past year since I bought it. I had to replace the fuel pump, had to replace the transmission, and I've done the transmission probably about 3 times. Now, each time I do it, I seem to have another issue arise, whether that's from me or from the previous owner. This time the issue is from me. So we're going to go ahead, get the transmission off, and we'll show you what's going on. As you can see, we've now gone to under the vehicle, which is not too bad under here. Got the truck jacked up, and what we're trying to do here is I think we can get away with just bringing the transmission back enough for me to access the flywheel. Now, the reason I need to access the flywheel is because the torque converter has 4 bolts on it, and each bolt is then connected to the flywheel, transferring the power from the motor to the transmission. And this is an automatic transmission, so it'll do all its stuff inside with synchros and all the gears. But I don't really know how that works. What I do know is that when I put this transmission in, I did mess up that flywheel. So, because on the flywheel, on the outside of it, it has these square or rectangle holes that when it spins, it's going to be detected by the crankshaft position sensor. Well, when I put it in, instead of doing it a smart way, I did it the way that I've done it the entire time, of putting a screwdriver in that hole and then spinning it in order to get the holes for the torque converter lined up to the holes with the flywheel, and then bolting it together. I think doing it that way has come back to bite me, in the sense of now a couple of those holes are expanded and have like these ridges on them. So when I went to go start the truck for the first time after putting this in, they actually hit the crankshaft position sensor. So I can't just put another crankshaft position sensor in, because that may happen again. So I think what we can do is, instead of taking everything apart, I think what we only need to do is the cross member here holding the transmission up. We'll do the 4 bolts at the bottom, or at the rear end of the car, holding the drive shaft into the rear end, and then the bolts holding the transmission to the motor. I think we can leave the transmission lines, the transmission connectors, and then just slide it back. That should work, hopefully. That's the thought process. We'll see what happens, you know. So, I guess let's get to work. this part did not cross my mind. I don't know if y'all can see it, but the transmission is leaking fluid. Quite a bit, actually. Yep. Getting to the fun part. Because now I have to get all the bolts that are essentially around the transmission and motor. Not very much room to work, and there's a difference in sizes. For starter bolts are 16 millimeters, and transmission bolts are a 15 millimeter. The short one is too short. The long one, the deep well, is too long. That does not make any sense at all. Okay. Well, I guess we're going topside. We're now topside. And we're going to try and get the bolts that are on the firewall to motor. Now, sometimes what you gotta do is climb inside. Climb inside the motor to be able to get what you need done. Now, what you want to make sure is that your vehicle, whether it's on ramps or jacks or anything of the sort, is going to be stable. Because you definitely don't want to get in here and your vehicle be wobbly or moving, because that is not safe at all. Now, if I could please find the bolts, that'd be great. This is going to look very odd, but I don't have any better way to do this. Because this works. This is what works. And believe that is all. I believe so. Now we will get back under and try and move this thing. So, some new information of, I remember what this thing's called. The piece connected to the motor is a flex plate. If you're talking about a flywheel, that's on a manual transmission. Don't know why that just clicked, but just so you know, I've probably been saying it wrong for the past hour. And now we're at the point of taking these bolts off. Taking the bolts off the flex plate to the motor. Or flex plate to the torque converter. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Well, to be honest with you, since the flex plate's already messed up, I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing what I did to put this in and take it out that way. Because I need to order a new flex plate anyways. Come on. Get on there. Trying to do. Need the screwdriver to hold it. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Come on. There we go. Get it on there. There we go. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. No. Won't be a pain. Alright, now, at this point, how to do this actually? Daggum jack. one. So I think I can get this one. Goodness. Well, what are we doing? Well, I don't think my plan's gonna work, so that kind of sucks. Which means I gotta take more stuff off just to get to a flex plate. You know, sometimes it's just how it is. Because if I had done this, possibly the right way, by some standards, in a way, we wouldn't be in this mess. It is true. That is true. But, you know, you live and you learn. So, not a big deal. You just gotta get moving on. Try and get to that point of getting to the part that we do need to get to. So, yeah. Let's start taking more stuff apart. What size screws are that? This. 17 is too big. Okay, what about 15? 15 seems to be. Alright, now, taking the cross member apart. That kind of scared me. It's not expecting it to fall out. Please stop dripping on my head. No? So, I was not paying attention to y'all. The battery died, and I did not know that. So, now, the transmission is out. It was only a couple more things. I took out the transmission lines, took off the transmission crossmember, and transmission came down safely. So, wasn't too big a deal, but now it's out. I got the flex plate out, which is right here. So this will attach to the back of the motor, and transfer the power from the motor to the torque converter. And then torque converter will transfer that into your transmission, go to your back wheels, start spinning your vehicle, or spinning the tires on your vehicle. Now essentially what happens is, if you can see here, these holes are for the torque converter. You're going to put a bolt through, it's going to ratchet down, nice and simple. On the side here, these square holes are for your crankshaft position sensor. Now your crankshaft position sensor is going to tell whether to start the vehicle and at what times to start sending fuel to the motor in order for it to run correctly. Basically just measures the crank. So you have your camshaft part on the front of your motor and the crankshaft on the back of your motor. And it's just sending power through your vehicle from front to back. Now, if you can see, these holes here are a little bit raised, a little bit damaged, and that is what ended up clipping the crankshaft position sensor and tearing it up. So, got to order a new one of these. Unfortunate. Kind of a pain, considering I put transmission in this truck 3 times in the past year. The first transmission was the wrong transmission. That's my fault. Second transmission, well, was this transmission, but I had to take it out for another issue. Now I'm taking it out for the 3rd time for this issue. So it's great. I'm really learning how to take apart and put together this transmission, and it's amazing. Let's talk about the crankshaft position sensor. This is the one that I pulled out. Now, the reason I know that it was coming from the flex plate is because when I pulled it out, this is the tip. If it will focus. Now, the tip has been damaged. It looks like something scooped out of it. So, when it was in there, it sits like this. Okay, crankshaft position downer. And that flex plate is spinning around. So when it came around one of those times, took it out. So this is how I know this is the problem, which is a shame because I was really hoping to drive this truck, and this probably happened to me 2 months ago. So problem after problem with this vehicle. Hopefully soon it'll be on the road and driving. But this is what we got time for. This is what we're doing. Now, I gotta go order parts. Spend more money. More stuff, you know. It's all great. Just another day in the life of owning multiple vehicles that may or may not run. Yeah, dirtied up.